Disegni is the new section of the fair. It's the first time it's happening, and it's a really big project for us. It took us a long time to work with. It's a new section about Disegni, and Luís will explain a bit what we meant with Disegni in the section. We invite 21 galleries for the section, and there's some really different perceptions of drawing.
When we were invited to do the section, we thought of drawing and what is the relevance of drawing as a contemporary art medium today. We wanted to show how broad it can be, and showing how broad it is means that we wanted to show an expanded version of drawing, not drawing as this very traditional medium, but in a more kind of expanded way, which happened with video, which happened with painting. Artists throughout, the past decades have been really pushing media in different directions, pulling, pushing, expanding, questioning every media, and we wanted to show that with drawing. So we have almost a spectrum of approaches to drawing that goes from a very traditional approach that considers drawing as a medium, as a discipline, and on the other side of the spectrum we have artists who think of drawing almost as a metaphor, and you will look at a booth specifically and you will see that thinking about drawing is still there, even though it doesn't necessarily relate to a more traditional understanding of drawing. Either it's paper or it's a line that is being approached in very different ways, but it's still drawing conceptually. We wanted to go from one side of drawing to the other side to show as much variety as possible, because it is the first edition of the section. So we wanted to show everything that drawing can be. There was an application process which galleries could apply for every section and for the general program. And then from that group of applications, we selected the ones that we felt would represent the ideas we had for the section. Besides the application part, we also directly invited galleries with specific artists we already had in mind, just to make sure that the section ended up representing the idea of drawing that we wanted. So altogether, these two processes of selection helped us make what the section is. We didn't think in geography specifically. What we had in mind was the broadness of drawing. So that was our main focus, was to think of many, many, many different ways of understanding drawing. With that comes a need to represent as much different views as possible, and sometimes that is connected with geography, but not necessarily. We have Latin American artists, we have European artists, we have American artists, we have, we try to be as diverse as possible, but our main focus was indeed diversity of the medium. Drawing is a very interesting medium to start new collectors or to develop collectorship. And some people, when they're looking at art and contemporary art as possible collectors, they may feel a bit overwhelmed by the complexity of it, like a video installation or a performative piece or a large-scale installation. All this may be a bit, overwhelming for someone who wants to start a collection. Drawing, on the other hand, is more approachable. We all draw every now and then, so it's a very different relationship to the medium, because it's more familiar on one hand. There is a certain tendency for the scale to be more domestic, a piece of paper. It occupies a position in our homes that is more simple, that is more straightforward than a performance or an installation. So I think when we were thinking of this section, and we were thinking of diversity, of course, we were also thinking of the section as having an important role in creating new collectors and starting interesting people in the process of acquiring art, of creating a relationship to art that is based on owning art. And drawing allows this much more than, for instance, other media. But having said that, of course, the section goes in many different ways. So it may interest young collectors or people who are starting to collect, because drawing is a very straightforward medium, but because we also went to an approach that sees drawing as an expanded way, we have pieces that are more complex, that interest long-term collectors who already have that understanding, who are willing to engage with artworks that are more complex, that have a different scale. So everything is present in the section, which allows us, of course, to think of emerging collectors, but also as, long-term, more established collectors.